Your viewpoints are similar to mine. So I don't got a lot of views.
You don't know what my views are. Don't pretend.
Change for the people.
Might change. I don't know. Don't know.
Calm down.
Change.
Fuck's sake, man.
Yeah, keep your language down. Right? Relax. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Right. All the people locked in. Listen, make sure first of all, share the video. Let's get this out to as many people as possible so that they can get involved in it as well. Please be sure to leave a thumbs up. The love heart thing, not in that way. Man's married, but yeah, leave the hearts up and all of them sort of things there. And we're gonna get started. Let me just make sure that we're on YouTube and then we're good to go. Right, let's go. Alright, let's make sure that we're live. Alright, cool, we're good to go. Good to go. Alright, shout out to Reen on YouTube.
Yes, Reen.
Hold tight, Reen.
Yeah, you know she said to Reeks only.
Oh wow,
some things don't change. Alright, cool, listen, let's get this thing started because I'm not looking to be on a long team. Alright, shout out to Carl, man, family in the house like that. Let's go. Okay. Grown Arse Men in the building, make some noise! Let's get energy levels up. Let's go. Right, I'm just going to tell you guys from the outset, I believe that YouTube is slightly ahead of Facebook. So if I miss any comments or anything like that, bear with me. There's a few things that I need to do before we actually introduce who we got inside and start the show properly. So just bear with me. Shout out to Shalika as well. Thank you for all the information, all the help and assistance. Really appreciate that. All right. First of all, I and we understand that there are going to be many women who are watching this show that have either been abused or are currently going through a situation where they are abused. We are going to be posting some information on helplines about whether you are going through something, you do want to speak to someone and somebody who can provide some guidance and help for the situation. We will be trying to speak as openly as possible, but we will obviously be trying to show some sensitivity and understanding about situations that people are potentially going through. All right, and goes for people who have previously suffered as well. All right. So with that being said, from my far right, the most popular guy in town. Hey, who we got inside, man? Let's go.
What's going on, people? Rick's here. What's good?
Infamous point there.
Yep.
What's going on, people? It's Darren.
Yeah, Mr. Pan-African, Dwayne.
All right, and you got myself. My name is Craig. Let's kind of start the show. Let's get going. Okay, D. Hi, guys. That's not you, fam. Yeah, it must have they're looking forward to this. Right. Let's just give a little bit of a breakdown, and we're going to start raising some issues, and I'm going to try and keep some structure around the conversation. And yeah, in fact, that's a good shout. Again, we're going to be taking some calls. I'm going to try and give you guys an indication of when we're going to take those calls. If you do want to call in and kind of involve, obviously, please do feel free. And the phone number is 07376 142 982. I'm going to try and put this in both comments so that you guys can obviously give us a shout and get a call going if you need to. With that being said, let me just try and get this thing set up. Yeah. Right, cool. So R. Kelly, Surviving R. Kelly. It was a 6-part series, and it was a 6-part series based on women that have gone through and had experience with R. Kelly, talking about them being, and I'm paraphrasing as well, by the way, so forgive me, trapped in a house, the mental abuse that they've suffered, the physical abuse that they've suffered, his manipulation of people for many a year, and basically it was almost like a plea as to, we need to shut this man down. Would that be fair to say? Yeah. All right. So with that now being said, let me just kind of go to my first point that I want to raise, and we're going to try and go through this in categories, yeah? If I possibly can. Right. Men. Physical and mental abuse. We are 4 men, yeah? I hope none of you are abusers. If you are, keep that shit a secret, yeah? Because I don't really want to know you if that's the case. I'll be real. Come out, leave. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it. But, and the question is why? Why do men find it necessary to physically abuse and mentally abuse women? Let's try and get that point out there. Let's get people's opinions and let's try and see where we go from here, yeah?
I'm going to struggle with that one.
I don't The thing about it is, I don't think we're going to be able to give a definitive answer
You can
to
give
why.
your opinion.
Simply because I just think there's certain type of people in this world who are sick and will do that,
Right.
and people who don't do that are not to understand that. Do you understand?
I
Understand?
find it difficult
I think
online in that space.
I think a lot of things that we can say, like insecurities,
100%.
stuff that stem from their childhood, in terms of they may have been. So obviously, this is running in line with R. Kelly. And we all know. Well, I don't know if everybody knows, but apparently he was molested as a child at 6 by apparently by his older sister. So, and I suppose when you speak, not even I suppose, but when you speak to therapists and people who help people come through domestic abuse relationships, a lot of the times it's the people carrying out the abuse who have been raised as a youngster.
Correct.
So there is some correlation there. But for me, I couldn't tell you why, because manipulation, abuse, all that.
I think Vanessa's just commented as well. She said control. Shout out Vanessa as well. She said control, and I think you touch on it. Insecurities are a lot of the things, but we need to delve into what you also said about the abused becoming the abuser, and it's it's very early in the convo, but it's taking a place. What I wanted to look at is this is strife in black families. There's too many times that I have met or spoke to women that have previously gone through something, and when you ask them what has been done about it, nothing. It's sometimes a common thing known amongst families, but as a black community, we overlook too much. So that kind of then leads it, bruv. This is just being real, and I'm not trying to say that anyone's gonna come and say, yeah, I was abused. I'm not asking for that. I'm just telling you about what my experiences are. Too many families know about that uncle, that cousin, that whoever, and we do nothing. Because and the same thing applies with R. Kelly.
We sorry, we from young.
Bruv,
it's not a black thing.
I'm not saying it's totally a black thing, but it's something that's
It's a black
strife within the
thing
community.
Because
Definitely
the life you live is around black people. So that's why you'll hear that. Don't think that in Asian families and white families that stuff isn't happening.
Ignore that. I say black because of what I experience with the people I know. Fair enough. Let's not get into a race. It's an issue nonetheless, whether it's within the communities or not. It's an issue that needs to be dealt with.
It's definitely an issue, and it's an issue within families that people are happy to keep things a secret because they don't want to shame family.
But just what I said, shame.
That's what a lot of it comes down to. A lot of it comes down to embarrassment and not wanting to feel the issues of having to call out family members on something that is blatant to some people and or maybe a secret to some person, and they just don't want to call it out.
Even like victims don't come forward necessarily sometimes because they're embarrassed and the shame that it's going to bring to their family. Like to come out and openly say you've been interfered with someone, especially if you're a woman being interfered with by another woman or a man, I can imagine that's extremely embarrassing for you to come out and openly admit that. So I can understand that would hold a lot of people back from saying it, and that is probably a massive reason why it's brushed under the carpet.
I'm going to read a couple of comments because I'm going to be going to this a lot. Guys, as well, in terms of obviously this conversation, we normally kind of roll for about an hour or so. But depending on which way the conversation goes or by demand, we can just stretch this out. Like, I'll be honest, there's nothing but the gym going on.
Anyone commenting on Insta, you have to go on Facebook or YouTube because we're not reading it, I suppose.
Let me read out a couple of comments. Michelle has said, that's not always the case. Abusers do not always go into abuse. That's not what I said at all. I said it's a common theme amongst abusers. So I'm not saying that, just to be very, very clear. Dee has said because society sees men as the stronger sex, so it's about control.
Point I was going to raise. This patriarchy.
Right. Shalika said it's because in a community we like to keep things quiet. It's shame and fears of authorities also. Good point. Dee has said I'm a social worker and see the cycle every day in my work. If you get abused as a child, statistics are very high that you will become an abuser. And yes, rates hit the nail on the head with embarrassment. All right. Cassie said, I agree with that. It's always the Nachata business on road in black families. And this is what I'm saying. Whilst I know that it might be something that affects other communities, I can only really kind of talk experience from what I know. Do you understand what I mean? Couple more, and then we're gonna kind of move on. Tanya said, the black community hold pride higher than the mental well-being of a child sometimes. Sad but true. We think about shame and embarrassment, but is that though? Why is that thought about when a child is abused? Why do you think that when a child is abused?
It's not control. It's weird why that's the priority. If a child tells you that they're being abused, why is the priority? No, we need to worry about who we're shaming. Like,
but again, I think that comes down to insecurity. It's still down to insecurity.
It's things
of a family.
You've got to be secure enough to say, to come out and bring this so-called shame on the family.
I don't think that's insecure.
I'm saying serious, because we're so insecure, we worry about what other people think. That's what I mean in terms of insecurity. Like, come on,
like for me, as shameful it is, I've got a family member that's currently doing time for exactly that. Abusing. We heard about it prior, but the victim only really came forward with it, even though there was talk of it, but we never really covered. But he doesn't want to accept it. Won't accept what he's done. As far as he's concerned, he didn't do it. First, he didn't want to admit that he was guilty or nothing like that, and then he said he'll go to the first case and not accept it, and then if you give him a bit more time, accept it at a later date.
Does he realise what he done and doesn't consider it abuse, or is he saying he didn't do it?
No, initially he was saying that nothing took place. And I think over time, before it got to court, when the claim was made, over time he then softened it and said to a few family members that he's going to plead guilty, but not in the first case. He was hoping that he would go there, plead not guilty, and then at a later date, because he's looking for time outside, obviously. But effectively, he went there, he pled not guilty, and he ended up getting signed.
What's your family's reaction been? Sorry, bro. What's your family's reaction been to that?
They've come over. It's a bit. When I say it's not my immediate family, it's like my cousins and stuff. So
is he now an outcast, or is there people in the family that are still?
No, there's no one supporting him. There's nobody supporting him. He's just got, unless his wife is. I don't really fuck with his wife like that. So unless his wife supporting him, none of the family are supporting him in any way, shape, or form. They've just dusted their hands.
For me, I think it's a case of patriarchy. I think that. What
does that word mean, man?
So basically,
I didn't want to because we was in the same class.
It's about male dominance and male power, isn't it, over the female sex. And so, in a lot of instances, not necessarily now, but back in the day, our grandparents' generation, the man is the head of the household, isn't it? So for a child to come to a mother and say, you know what, daddy or granddad's touching me, and she doesn't have much power. Because remember, this is putting the food on the table. This he's the head of the house. She's used to doing what she's used to following his direction. Do you know what I mean? Because I know people who have been in that situation. Do you know what I mean? And so it's difficult for. I can only assume it was difficult for that woman back in those day and age, even though it's still happening now, for them to turn around and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm taking my children and we're moving on. I'm moving away from you. That's your world turned upside down. You know what I mean? Now, I think we're just used to, like you said, the whole shame and embarrassment, so we don't chat our business, and it's that generational thing that's been passed down to.
Outside of the shame, you've got people who don't want to lose their partners. So they are aware that they've abused a child, but by bringing it up means that they lose the relationship and they're by themselves, and that is a massive fear for them, so they don't deal with the problem.
Yeah.
And it affects them too heavily.
Let me just, I'm going to read out a couple of comments. Guys, I've just posted the live calling number. There's no pressure on that or anything like that. We've got more than enough to talk about. If you do want your voice to be heard, please use the number, give us a call, and let's talk about it. Right, Holly has said, I think parents, this is just going on to the previous point, I think parents may feel shame because generally the first question is, how did they not know? And I think that's talking about sexual.
That's the next level.
Yeah.
Level embarrassment.
What's the word? I keep calling it paedophilia. It feels a little bit.
Paedophilia.
There you go. Yeah. Mind blank. Anyway, right. Bianca said possibly it's easier to ignore or be in denial because once you acknowledge it's happening, then it's a question of what you're going to do.
Yes.
Very good. I think that's a very good point. It may make themselves feel guilty and question themselves as well. And this does lead into my second point. I'm gonna come and read a few more in terms of taking. Let's just try and relate it back to the R. Kelly show as well. All right. So in a lot of these cases, there are underage girls who have been groomed. They've been manipulated and trained to become what they are. And again, from what I'm reading, there are some who are still with him, are shown within the 6-part series. Right. accountability and responsibility. Let's make one thing clear, because I don't think we have yet. R. Kelly, I think, is a monster. Lord forgive me, I think should be dead. I don't rate none of these sort of things. I don't condone in any way, shape, or form. However, I do think that there are times where people put themselves in position. Let me just try and make my point easy.
Yeah.
If I put my hand into an oven which is switched on, I should have in the back of my mind, there is a possibility, I might get burnt. Yeah?
I agree with this.
And whilst it may not be down to some of the women themselves, I think some of the parents need to be held accountable because they knew about this chance of being burnt. However, they still put their children into this situation because of the potential money that they can make, superstardom that they can make knowingly. And I think parents need to be held accountable. As much as R. Kelly and all of that stuff, they need to be held accountable.
Whilst I agree with that, Craig, I think that too many people have gone straight to that. Without looking at the child in the first instance. A lot of people have said, "Oh well, what about the parents? What about?" Yes, I agree that they can be held responsible, but at the end of the day, he is a master manipulator. Yeah, and it's clear that he was a master manipulator. And what he has done is he manipulated families and the children along with them. He has promised things that, as a normal person, you think, okay, this is hard for me. Maybe if I said, for example, there was a couple on there who said they stayed with their daughter every step of the way, and then they even appointed a guardian to do it. But as soon as she turned 18, that was it. It was all like.
Alright, but there is one particular case, yeah, and again, I don't want it to kind of be where we're digging at, different situations. However, there were things that just pointed out to me and like, and how could you allow this?
I think a lot
For
of people
example,
have these questions.
there was the parents have sent a sister to go and accompany this woman. She's as much danger as daughter. Like, what difference does that make? And then it was like, oh, we've spoken to him further, so we felt comfortable. Really? Really?
It was the
You
ones-
spoke to him, so you felt comfortable. Okay,
It was
that's
the
great.
It was the ones where the parents said, "Well, the charges didn't really go any further, so we felt like it was okay."
Listen,
Listen,
same parents,
listen,
and I'm
from-
not trying to
From
criticize
the time
them
that
or
you
nothing.
got out there,
Chance
you're
I'm taking.
It's
yeah,
just
exactly.
you just wouldn't
put
do that.
yourself in that position.
You ju- you-
and
you would not.
they have to be held accountable, not just as much, but they have to.
Right,
they
and
have
this
to
is
have
my thing.
responsibility.
There's got to be something, and I know that people don't want to talk about this. I'm not trying to be emotionless, but these are important things because it will repeat itself and keep happening.
What is annoying from that is the parents are almost playing victim as well. Like, it's almost like, look what he's done to my daughter. But you have put your daughter in harm's way. Effectively. So I understand your
The
point.
parents definitely have to look at themselves, yeah. But
yeah.
like, this is reflective of the society we live in, bruv. Yeah, and everybody's out for the quick buck. Everybody's out for that superstardom. We put too much stock in celebrities. You know what I mean? Like we allow our children to look at celebrities and make them and think that they're the be all and end all.
I can't agree with regards to society. And the reason why I say society is because
definitely.
hear what I'm saying. And again, I took from probably in my little crazy little bubble, but every person I've spoken to has pretty much said, remember, we have to all admit, and we're going to get to this. We've known about R. Kelly for about 20 plus years. Let's not get it twisted. Yeah, R.I.P. the great, earlier, whatever. We knew. Yeah, I've seen it on VHS. Yeah, not proud to say I watched it in some girl's school. I saw the man pissing on. I saw him pissing on a youngster, on a minor. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, we all knew it was R. Kelly, regardless of whatever the case was. So with that in our minds at some point, because whenever R. Kelly's name is mentioned, that's got to come to your head now, especially if you're dealing with your kids.
It's like MJ.
Yeah, it's got.
Soon as it
You
comes
think
up
I'm
with-
going to let MJ run about children? No, it's not going to happen. I don't care. Even if they've been accused and not, you just don't take that risk. So every person that I've spoken to,
There's enough doubt there.
exactly,
For you to say.
right.
take
Every
that
person that
chance.
I spoke to said, "Boy, you know what? Even if it was for starting, even if it was for $1 million, I wouldn't put my kid in that position."
I wouldn't.
Right. So why are we saying it's just the
Look
way
what
that
Darren-
we're society?
Let me talk
hold it.
Let me talk
too
about
much high regard, but
I'll
I'm
be
not putting my child.
I'll be
in that.
real. You see in situations like this, yeah, you're always gonna get people who are gonna say, "Oh, I wouldn't have done this and I wouldn't have done that." But now, and deep down, they more than likely do believe that they wouldn't have done this. But when the situation is there, it's this huge megastar, R. Kelly, and he's offering to make your child a superstar, and that's their dream. Do you know what I mean? Like, I personally feel myself, I wouldn't put my child in that, and I'm 100% sure I wouldn't. However, when that situation is there,
You just don't know.
you just don't know.
when it's on the table and you're seeing dollars.
Just don't know. I'm sure these same parents would have said exactly the same thing. We would never have our child in harm, and it's happened. You see what I'm saying? So, and what I'm saying is, it's a reflection of society, bruv. Like, everybody's after the fame, everybody's after the quick buck, everybody's after the glory. Do you know what I mean?
Listen, I'm up for all of that. Listen, let's all go rob a bank. Cool, I'm in it. Let's put my kid in danger to earn the same amount. I'm not in it. Do you understand what I mean? I get what you're saying, but it's just when it comes to children, I can't take it. I don't know. Let me, you know what I'm saying? Hey, jokes, guys. Yeah. But let me read out a couple more comments. There's also the number as well. I've just had a text coming through for people who can't comment on either Facebook or YouTube. That's not really my fault, but you can text in as well, and I'm happy to read out comments, which I will do as well.
Well, we are getting comments on both platforms, right?
Yeah, 100%. Right, let me read out. Right. Cassie said, if you know your partner is a child abuser, how can you morally stand by that?
That's how we think. But when you're not personally, but when these people are in these positions, it's simply that they feel alone. I've got nothing. You know what I mean? They break themselves down to the point where they're worried about how they affect them. Yeah. It's not that they put their child and think, oh, you're not. It's not that. It's simply because they start worrying about everything outside of their child.
Yeah, and Holly's put, I think someone said it in here as well. When the mum said about the trial, I think Rick said it, but she didn't think it was an issue as he wasn't convicted.
That's
madness. Yeah. That's just negligence. Yeah. That's poor form.
You're hoping for the best. You're that's not the case. So that you feel okay allowing your child to be in that situation.
Yeah, Dee's gone on to say, Dee has also said, the parents of some of those girls accepted from him to not prosecute.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, and it sounds like it's almost the majority of as well. No, I'm sorry, no amount of money in the world could ever be paid to me to keep if my daughter was abused.
Right, now, that's my thing on this, yeah. The blow paid off, and this show generally is about what they can get, in my opinion. At the end of the day, a lot of book deals will come from this, and a bit of status and so forth. If you are keen on justice, that will be the route taken. You're not taking any payment, and you'll be focused on prosecuting. Doing shows and you're running around looking for your daughter with video cameras behind you. Like, how serious are you?
I agree, fully agree.
Yeah, it's a mess. I think we need to speak up a little bit as well. Facebook, is everyone hearing us all right? I hope so. YouTube, I think they seem to be all right. Couple more comments. Let me read one of the texts that come as well. Let me get to text in a minute. Actually, that's more of a finisher. Dazzler said, we know that hiding, protecting abusers within the family was a thing in the older generation. Does this protection still exist in our generation? 100% yes, in my opinion.
I think it does, but again, like a lot of, I think we are changing the molds.
Yeah.
I do think it is changing, but it's just a slow progress.
Arena said, Michelle has said, so you're taking the blame away from R. Kelly. The only person to blame is R. Kelly. No. The only person to blame is not R. Kelly, and I think that's where we're fucking up all over the place. One, the reason why I say that is because, one, we've all just mentioned before about R. Kelly's been abused. He also needed help. Someone around him, his parents or whatever, somebody, again, was to blame in that situation. A monster don't just come out the womb a monster, in my opinion. Unless you're really unlucky. But yeah, you don't. So I think there is that. However, in terms of percentage, listen,
a huge amount
is on our a huge amount. But I just don't want to be in this situation where it's just like, oh, it's Kelly. I think we all know he's a fucking monster. There's no point doing a debate otherwise.
His punishment shouldn't be a yes, but the other people involved need to understand that they need to.
Yeah, to prevent this from happening again, it makes sense us having a discussion. Not just like you just said, R. Kelly. That's done.
He's a monster. We know this.
He's a paedophile,
and he needs to see justice. Yeah. But
go on. But in order to prevent this from happening again, we need to raise this issue so that parents, young parents, old parents, whoever it may be, can look at. You know what? All right, there are certain things that I need to make sure I'm not doing, and I'm not putting my child's safety in jeopardy.
But the problem is that the show did that. Now that's why people come out of the watchroom from that show and say, "Oh, it's all R. Kelly's fault," because the way the show was set up was to do that. You got when R. Kelly comes on, you got that sinister music playing. Like it was.
No, don't go there yet. No. Right. No. Because remember I said I want to try and keep some structure. Let me get these comments done because you're just taking, bruv. Bruv, give me a little signal if you're taking it there. We need to go there yet. Right, hold on. Right, let me read out the text. Shout out Janine. Right, said, we believe that if these girls were white, we would still be having this debate
Can I say
since 1994.
Right. I believe if the girls were white and he was black, then he would have done time. I believe if there was a white man and a white girl and it was the same situation, I think we would have the same situation because R. Kelly was in a position of power and was making millions of pounds for people.
Well, everyone celebrated Elvis when he married Priscilla,
Right,
and it's been seen since he was
right.
13, 14 or something like that.
I want to touch on
You know
that.
what I'm saying? But we definitely will.
So for me, I think while we're looking at the black and the white issue, you got to be realistic. Black with a white girls, yes, there's going to be an issue. But if they're both white, we're going to have the same issue going on right now.
I personally think if it's white girls that have been the victims, they would have found the culprit a long time, regardless of if he's black or white. I just think that.
Right, she also goes on to comment, the evidence of R. Kelly being a pedo, which was circulated globally via video, how was this not enough? In one word, I'm going to say money. And I'm going to say money because, one, there is money to pay these people off.
Yeah.
As much as we're saying about how strongly we feel about it, for example, Sparkle, whose niece was the one who was getting peed on the video, up to this day, their family's dropped a case. I think it was something said in there, her brother was still working with him.
Yeah.
Bruv,
No,
working with him.
but in the documentary, it was said that the family basically came out and said it wasn't a child
Well, and this is what
in
I'm
the
saying.
video.
Now that's the reason why it hasn't gone forward because there are no
Right.
victims.
Yeah,
There are no.
they've
got no victims. There's no actual facts here. Yeah, we have a video. We can all make an assumption. I think it was him. I think it was a young girl. But there are no facts.
When you say there's no facts, how can you say there's
No,
facts?
this is where I get vexed with Dwayne, you know. I've seen a man piss on the
Let me say what I'm
video,
saying. Let me right. So
But how do
I
you say
saw.
there's no facts?
Let me say what I'm saying.
Go on then.
Right, so for me, I've seen it and I believe it to be okay. Yeah, I believe it to be a young girl. However, yeah, if the young girl's family saying it's not her, yeah, and our family saying it's not him, it is not factual. It's just our opinions that it is.
Oh, bruv.
It is
Now
what
that
it is.
politician
It's
talk,
not
man.
political. It is what it is. That's why it hasn't stuck.
I need to read some comments.
If you was in
Give me a hand off my shoulder. Let me
if it was clear, well, it is clear as day to me. But if it was Arcady and then there was a girl and they knew exactly who the girl was and then, remember you are AHS, but it was all do you know what I mean?
It's clear from what I know, it's clear as day to most people. But if the victim and the victim's family will not come forward, that's the only reason. But you can't
Don't
say
say that.
If the victim came forward, then it will make it factual and they couldn't do anything with it. But right now, it's just what we think. And I believe it to be him. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, it's not.
It's not just because it makes it sound like you're trying to help him.
It's not just what we think because there's other evidence. Even though the actual victim hasn't come forward and said yes, it's me. You can take into consideration statements from other people.
There are other people that are there,
and there are people who in that documentary there were people who said I was a victim. It might be years later, but saying I was a victim.
But the reason why
we can't discredit those women because this happened years ago and say, all right, if it's a child and they come forward when it's happening, that's factual.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, okay, when I got episode 1, I decided from episode 1 that I was not going to see an underage girl that he had slept with for the whole program, and I didn't. What he done is he met them very early, spoke to them and groomed them up, and he waited until they were 17 legal, and then he done his nastiness.
No man, there was some that was that.
There was none that there was none in that video that he touched under the age.
Okay.
Otherwise he'd be doing time.
No,
But was Aaliyah not one of them?
Huh? Right, but he's here to testify to any of this. Just like what I'm saying.
It's a good point, and I'm not going to ignore that. You sound like a defender. I know you don't mean to. You don't mean to.
Piss off.
And I know you're not. Piss off. But this is what you sound like. So let me read out a couple of comments. Right. Irina said, I don't even allow my daughter to go to her friend's house. I'm not taking
I'm with you.
risks.
Hey, listen.
Bro, come on.
Bro.
Why are you so clapping?
Because that's real talk.
fam.
Okay,
Fam.
Right,
If I don't know, you
Can I
ain't getting nowhere, bro.
Can I just say something? Let me just say
know
something.
exactly what you're gonna do. Go on.
This is.
Go on.
Don't take this in the whole. You're not allowed to go to your friend's house?
No, she's not directly from.
Oh, so she's not saying that. So,
in my opinion, yeah, for me, for my daughter, for example, Carl's guy can't come home to me and say to me,
I bet you say that her friends can come to your house.
But listen, what I'm gonna say. I know me, innit?
Exactly.
Carl's guy can't come home to me and say to me, oh, can I go to Sally's house? Yeah? Because it's not happening. Carl's guy can come home and say to me, oh, I'm going to Angel Rose's house. Because I know Angel Rose's mum. And I trust Angel Rose's mum. Do you know what I mean? I'm cool with, I know I have a relationship with that parent.
Am I the only one who's looking at the Sally and the Angel Roses? What's the difference with Angel Roses?
I know Angel Rose's.
Get to know Sally's mum.
But if I get to know, then it's not an issue.
Alright,
If I know
listen,
you something
listen,
inside out,
listen,
but when there's a man involved, I'll get a bit.
But the thing about it is, yeah, because initially I clapped it, and now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm gonna retract from that clap because they do say that abuse comes like the majority of abuse comes from people you actually
No,
know.
yeah.
So for instance, and I know, but like children will come and stay at your house. Do you know what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying? No. But what I'm saying though is like, for us, yeah, it's like we feel comfortable saying no, you can't go to your friend from school house, but you can go to Uncle Craig and Auntie Misha's house. Do you know what I mean? And
what's this?
but majority of abuse come from people
right,
that
exactly.
we're not closest to.
I nearly said like Craig.
Nah, this ain't a lot. Don't laugh, man. Don't laugh. Let me read out a couple more. Thank you guys for all the comments. I'm trying my best to keep up and read out as many as I possibly can. Right. Here we go. Tanya said, I'm not a parent, so I'm talking purely from logic, and I know that doesn't always relate to parenting, but when it comes to your children, how do you put a price on them? Real talk.
You shouldn't. That's the answer.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
Right, Rena said, children can't be held accountable because there are those who get abused by family members. How can you blame a child for that? I didn't do. It's very important. I don't mean this disrespectfully. I think this relates to a comment that I said about people being held accountable. I'm not saying that any children or minor. However, there is something about the parents of those children who need to be held accountable. That's
Not
not
in every situation.
And it's not in every situation. Because I'll be honest, like you said, people, you know, in some situations.
When you were talking about R. Kelly specific,
we're talking about the R. Kelly situation. Right?
It's difficult though because you can't like. You would like to think, you know, that I can send my child to go and see this person in concert because one of the children actually like went to the concert with their parent
and still
got up on stage. Do you know what I mean? And then since then, she hasn't been seen.
Shouldn't been on stage. Do you take your 4-year-old daughter and let her on stage
With R. Kelly? No, you don't.
Do you?
No, Darren, there's no defending it.
No, you wouldn't. I'm going to say you wouldn't. There's not even a thinking.
I
You
wouldn't.
got the eyes up in the air like, let me think back, bro. There isn't.
From that initial step, I was already wrong.
All right, I knew I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. But are they? I'm thinking about it now. Are they wrong for allowing the child to get up on stage?
Yes.
Hold on. Simply because they're not thinking. The child. They're not thinking. The child's going to get up on stage and whine up and doing all that.
What was he singing?
What
was he singing? Was he singing Back and Forever?
It opens up a gateway. Yeah, you in your mind, you already know that there are facts about him being a little fiddler. Yeah, you already have that. So why are you setting him up there to do what? So you can scrub up on him?
No.
Let me read out a couple more.
I'm not sending them up.
Let me let that sink.
You're mad.
Right, Cassie said Dwayne is right. It's the fucked up law, not his opinion. I think that's in relation to what you're saying about the whole fact thing. R. Kelly is so guilty, but he was found not guilty on child porn, not on child rape. Interesting. Okay.
Apparently, he's under investigation now, though.
No, I personally think that's for a show.
I think that's I'm not going to be honest. I
don't think they've got anything.
Yeah. I don't think
nothing new.
That show doesn't give you anything.
Unless they've got something in the background, they've got nothing else.
Yeah. Lado said he's also a pervert, so why are people working with him? This is another point that I wanted to get to. I briefly step on this because I think there's more. There's more important things to kind of talk about. Everyone in the industry now, I've seen Lady Gaga come out. I've seen Nick Cannon come out saying that we shouldn't have worked with him, and blah blah blah. Everyone is now reacting off of the show
because it's a bandwagon.
Right, and it's the whole bandwagon mentality. It is the whole we must react now that the media have told us to react. We must act because all eyes are on them. However, when those jobs were taken, hear what I'm saying first. When those jobs were taken, you already knew exactly that R. Kelly was a paedophile. And you rightly says he married Leah when he was 15. The papers were forged. Everyone knows. The first album was called Age Is Nothing But a Number.
I always thought this Aaliyah thing was speculation. Until I watched the show, I did not realise that MTV blew it up. There was marriage certificates and all of that.
Music, man. I'm surprised that you say
I'm confused.
I
care about music, not about what people are doing in their life.
Care about people music, yeah.
I don't understand how when MTV blew that up and they saw the marriage certificate and everything, I don't understand how he got shut down from there. I don't understand how.
But you saw how strategic. Initially, they show you how strategic he was. Trying to hit at the right time, bro. Yeah. Once he does that, he knows he's gonna get the people backing him because he's making money for them.
That should have
right. So for me, all right. So just to set the scene,
and also just a point. He also said it was his brother as well. By the way, Shout out to G. She's messaged me and said that. Yeah.
We will have a WhatsApp group and we've had this conversation and me and Dwayne have been going at it. Yeah, like because for me, I didn't see the video of the pissing. Obviously, I knew about it. I knew about it, but I knew about Aaliyah. Yeah. But like, it wasn't like I said at that time we was young. I think we just come out of school. Whatever. No. But this is real. This is real. This is real, and this is I'm just telling you from my point of view. Yeah.
So it must be younger than that.
Well, yeah, even younger than that. So therefore, for me, I wasn't even thinking it on the level that I'm thinking of it now. Like as a parent, as a just right and wrong, whatever. My thing was, it didn't even play much on my mind, if I'm being honest. It didn't. Okay, that's just I haven't finished. Yeah. the reason why I feel so strongly and passionately about it now is because I am of an age where I can understand, and also the information that has been presented to me is much more than the information that we would have received back then.
Okay, can I?
You see what I'm saying? So therefore, my thing is like, now I'm in outrage. I wouldn't have been in outrage back then because
I'm the bandwagon to join. Now let me finish saying what I'm saying. Yeah. At the end of the day, yeah, you had that information. You was young. Growing up, the information hasn't come out of your head. Let me finish, and I've let you finish that. I've let you finish. Yeah, I've let you finish. You had the information and you kept it growing up as a man.
I didn't keep it.
What did you do? Get rid of it.
So what? That was in the forefront of my head for
I didn't
years
say
and
that to
years.
you, Darren. Every time Kelly was mentioned, you knew in the back of your mind. Aaliyah, you knew back in your mind. You knew.
If you're saying that information is there, you're saying your daughter would be okay to go to one of those concerts. What? Fine.
Oh, before the show. You got it.
You didn't keep the information.
What are you talking about?
Before you didn't keep the information.
Let me break it down. Hear what I'm saying. Before the show came out, Surviving R. Kelly, yeah? Would you have let your daughter go to R. Kelly's concert and be taken backstage?
Be taken backstage? I wouldn't let my daughter be backstage for any artist.
Forget the backstage bit.
For any artist.
What about the concert, front seat?
It depends on who the artist is.
No, we're talking about R. Kelly, bro.
R. Kelly.
The reason why I'm saying...
No, Darren, answer the question.
I'm answering the question and I'm going to explain myself. Let me explain myself.
Go for it.
Thank you. If it's any artist where there's any kind of skullduggery, any kind of whining, any kind of nastiness going on, then no.
I'm saying, I'm giving you the
argument. R. Kelly, if you look at his shows, yeah, there's nastiness going on in the shows. So if it was somebody like, I don't know, Beyonce, whoever, well, I'm certain that there's none of that's going to go on. Then
so if he was to I Believe I Can Fly concert and it was just all of those songs.
No, it's not going to be I Believe I Can Fly.
Darren, answer the question.
Right, you know what?
He done an album that was all about like God
just for the kids.
Whatever. So if he said he was doing the show.
Let me
keep it real. Keep it 100.
Let me ask you what are you trying to catch me out on?
You've been caught out.
That you said at one point you had information, but then you kind of disregarded it and it left your mind.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what happened.
So he made an album for kids. Yeah. Are you letting her go to the concert? Okay.
For kids.
Before the show.
I'm going to let her go to the concert. Yes.
Before the show come out.
No. Before the show come out, yeah, I would let her go to the concert for kids. Why would I let her
concert for kids?
And I would attend.
But you wouldn't
before. No, I wouldn't.
Why would you attend?
So you're just like you didn't know.
She's 15 years old. She's 16 years old.
Right, fair play.
Like I would go to any concert for
16 years old. Okay, what you got?
I would take my concert.
Alright, I'm gonna leave it. So as far as you're concerned, yeah, you didn't know that R. Kelly was
I'm not saying
that's what you're saying.
Alright, listen to what I'm saying. I'm simply saying to you, the information I had in regards to Aaliyah when we was like 14, 15 years of age. Yeah. So what I'm saying, now don't try and cut me off because I'm gonna make it clearly. I'm simply saying to you, is that I'm not saying I didn't know about that back in the day. I'm just simply saying I didn't put two and two together and connect it and say, this guy's a paedophile, and every time I hear his tune, like years later, I'm gonna think, paedophile.
I'm honest.
Now,
I'll be real. I can attack you on this all day because you're just walking into. You're having a mare. And the reason why I say that,
but this is not about me trying.
Just on the fact that you knew he was a paedophile, but you ignored it.
This is not about me trying to dodge and whatever. I'm simply telling you how it was for me, and I'm simply saying I'm not saying I didn't know of Lilia, but like I said to you, I was like 14 and 15.
But then you got rid nothing. When you 3 weeks ago, it wasn't in your mind. Then
when you stepped in the love 4, 5, 7 weeks ago, you knew he was a paedophile.
But did you know 3 weeks ago? Was you aware of it?
Let me get back into the comments. Guys, hold on. Let me get back into the comments, please.
Terrible.
Right. Hold on. Listen to this, please. Reen. Shout out to Reen, yeah? Hold on. Where is it? Good comment. She said, guys, I went to a concert I'm assuming it's R. Kelly, because if you're talking about someone else, this is basically irrelevant. But I went to a concert and I was invited backstage. I saw a girl come out. She couldn't even walk. She was a mess.
Oh, wow.
I said, hell no, and walked off. She said she was about 21, 22 at the time. That's nuts. Tell us if they contacted you about the documentary. I'm going to say no. Right. Rena said, oh, but I did hear that the girl was pregnant and got rid. She was a state. No matter the artist, I would never go backstage for any artist. They're all nasty. That's a bit harsh.
Wow.
I think that is a bit harsh. A lot of people have actually asked us as well.
I want my dog game.
Hold on, let me read out a couple more. Let me go to Facebook. Right. Dia said, Amir said, so fellas, have you stopped listening to R. Kelly? If yes, before or after surviving?
This is my problem.
Right. Dia said, I deleted all my tunes off my phone. Watching the show is sickening. I'm still in shock. Sorry.
Alright, so I haven't listened to him since, but I'm not going to stop. I didn't stop before the show. Why? I'm not just on the background because someone's told me to stop listening to music. At the end of the day, I knew this information last week. I knew it 2 weeks ago. I knew 3 years ago, and I didn't stop. So why am I stopping now? Because someone told me to do so? No. He's a nasty bugger, a nasty piece of work at the end of the day, and I don't support it. I wouldn't go to a concert of his and put money in his pocket, but I'm not paying for his music, and I'm not putting money in his pocket. So if it comes on, I'm not going to sit down and say I'm not dancing to it. I'll continue.
I said I wasn't deleting the music. I said I'm carrying on listening to it, and I was listening to. It seems like already. I can't listen to it. And there's something. The title is already. If you've watched the documentary and then you look at that title, you think that's already not sounding right, and then you listen to the words, and it does make you feel a certain way. Now, I do think creativity is creativity and music is music, but when you start to relate certain things that you've seen to words that's in those songs, and you don't feel a certain way about it, I think there's I think there's something wrong with you if you don't start to relate the two.
Exactly. So you know what this show did for me, because you're talking about bandwagon. This show provided context. Yeah, I didn't know nothing about, like, all right, prior to this show, listening to the lyrics and whatever, there was none of that pedophilia was coming into my mind at all. This show provided context. Alright. So therefore now, when I know all the information that, like, there's so much more information that was provided in this documentary than it was that I knew of previously. So for me, I can't now know that and say, you know what, all right, I'm still going to listen to it. I'm just not.
Let me give my viewpoint. I'm guilty because Darren, don't disturb me. I'm gonna try and talk. But I know because I know what I'm about to say. You will.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Unlike Darren, I knew all the way, and I'm angry with myself because at that age, I think it's acceptable at that time to say I didn't know, I wasn't old enough. However, I've continued to listen to R. Kelly over numerous years. It's never ever left my head that the fact that the man's a paedophile. However, I'm guilty of overlooking that fact. Yeah. As I've now got older, one, I don't really listen to R. Kelly too tough anyway. I'm not going to actively go out and listen. However, I'm not going to sit down if I hear the track and I think Dwayne made some points we was talking about before. If an artist has been featured by, I'm not just going to go and sit down. Would I actively go out and listen to R. Kelly album now? No.
If you took the album, I definitely would listen to it.
No, I wouldn't. And the show has definitely played some part in that. However, it upsets me the fact that everyone is now coming out and just going absolutely crazy, and then want to pretend like they didn't know 20 years ago. I'm sorry, you're a blender, bro. You knew last year, you knew the year before, and you just overlooked it. And now the show's come out, and now that the media's told you to act, you're acting. There's not a problem with that, but that's the fact. Just own what you know with it. Own it.
He wanted to attack me.
Own it.
I thought you said it was ridiculous, D.
It was.
Okay, cool. Whether you believe that or not, that's good for you. I've told you what my stance in it, and
okay, you just don't want to go down, that's fine.
Okay, cool. The fact of the matter is, alright.
Okay,
let's get onto this banding thing, yeah. Okay, so what?
That's fine.
No. I'm asking you a question. So what? Alright. Say it is a bandwagon. Say that now, yeah. Alright. Somebody's decided, I want to take R. Kelly down, and we're gonna do this huge feature and whatever. So what? Has he not still done enough?
Yes.
No, the question.
Yes, but I knew already.
100%.
I'm asking Dwayne.
Yes, and I knew already.
It's a group show, so I'm going to answer as well. Yeah.
No, but the question is,
Yeah,
what-
I'm just
Yes,
saying,
and I already knew what you done.
Cool.
So
So for you, yeah, you're saying because of the fact that
I
you don't want to seem to be jumping on the bandwagon, and you don't want to seem to be, I don't know, agreeing with the masses. You're going to say what? This was known 20 years ago, so I'm not going to stop supporting.
I don't.
supporting it.
For me, like I said, yeah. Firstly, like I said,
it's not stop supporting. Correct. You got. Are you still supporting? Yeah. You get onto that too.
yeah, we made it clear that I'm not prepared to support him. I already, I told you, I'm not. But I've been clear and told. I thought, what's the question again?
Right, listen. Let me move on to a few of the comments. Right. Dazzler said, let's be real. Before this latest documentary, 99% of people were still stepping in the name of love and bouncing. It's not fair to gang up on Darren like that. Listen, Darren, let me just try and put this out there. I got no problem with Darren jumping on the bandwagon and supporting this cause. It's serious. Like, of course, 100%. Let me finish. However, I'm trying to address issues within our community. Overlooking is one of the issues that I brought up very early in this show, and we are guilty of it. When someone sits here and pretends that they're not,
that's bollocks.
It pisses me
That's
off.
bollocks.
Listen, I'm sorry.
No, it's bollocks. You know why this is bollocks?
You didn't overlook it.
Right? This is bollocks, right? Simply because I'm not saying that there isn't the issue of overlooking in the community. I'm simply talking from me, and I'm talking from my standpoint. I'm simply saying I'm not denying that I knew that 20 years ago. I'm not denying, but 20 years ago was what? I was what, 15, 16 years of age. So therefore, it didn't connect for me. It didn't. Bro, stop putting words into my mouth.
let him
Stop doing that. Stop doing that because it's annoying. Right? I'm not saying to you I didn't know nothing. I'm simply saying to you, for me, I didn't look at it in the same outlook as I look at it now. I'm an adult now. I can if I look at the information that is provided to me and say, all right, you know what, right and wrong, blah blah blah. Plus, I have children now. I look at things totally different. Back then, my thing was like, oh, you know what? There wasn't no. It was just. All right, cool.
Did you guys see the documentary a year ago?
BBC,
on
yes.
BBC?
I didn't see that.
Did you see that one?
I didn't see that.
Like,
I know nothing about that.
It's mad. Like it's been.
Is that the one where you said you like teenage girls and you said
No. That's just one of the interviews that was a part of it. It was the BBC.
I saw all of this all this week.
How can I say it? It was almost like a smaller version of this.
Yeah, it was.
It was basically it was a smaller version of this, and it was obviously just on the BBC. And again, I know many people. There is a few people in the comments. Shout out to Michelle who said this documentary as well. We knew. We knew.
There are a lot of people did know, definitely.
Darren's not one.
And the people, and for me, talking about when we, my thing is about the people who had this inside information, not necessarily within his camp, but people in the industry who had that inside information and knew exactly what was going on, more so than the public did, and didn't do anything.
That's my thing. The only thing that I would say, and I'm going to move to read a few comments, is that we knew enough. We knew the fact that the man had married an underage girl, and as far as I'm concerned, if this is the tipping of the iceberg for you, and this is what's made you react, you need to take not you personally, by the way, but I'm just talking generally. Someone needs to take a serious look at themselves. We knew. I'm saying to you, I knew I was guilty of just overlooking it. I'm not the biggest R. Kelly fan, but however, guilty of overlooking it. But the knowledge was there. That's a problem. That's something that we need to deal with. There's too many occasions that we know these things, and because we have so much love for either our family members or all of these artists, we choose, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, to make a decision to overlook it. Same way that we know Dr. Dre beats up Will. You understand what I mean?
Media dictates what we react to.
Right.
Yeah, because domestic abuse is not acceptable at the end of the day, and always paedophilia. But we're choosing to accept domestic abuse because the media hasn't gone at it.
It's true. Let me read a couple of comments because I'm actually getting lost. Right, Barry made a good one, yeah? Shout out to Barry. Right. Separate the art from the person. Right?
That's what I said.
So this is your kind of line. Let me read out a few responses to that as well. Dia said, think of the lyrics to Come to My Hotel after watching the show and never see that song again in the same light. Alright. Charlene has said, I can't separate art from the person. If anyone can listen to his music knowing he was singing about underage girls and adult, I'm concerned. I haven't played his music in years. Rate that. Alright. Maureen said, exactly, a lot of people knew 20 years ago. The same with Savile. Everyone knew what he was doing. Yeah? I was about to say shout out. I didn't know what I was going to say. Anne-Marie said, everyone knew his lyrics were sexual, but what people didn't realise is that young women were being groomed for his song contents. What about other artists? Right, I'm going to get to this. Hold on, let me get to this bit. I'll pick up a few more boxes. Wait, but you keep trying to take control. Let me try to continue. Right, Dia said, why do you think it's jumping on the bandwagon after knowing everything now? Would you still feel that way if you found out Will Smith was a rapist, for example? You then go to cinema and watch his latest film. Right, hold on. I think she's trying to compare everyone jumping on to R. Kelly and mute R. Kelly and all of that stuff, maybe finding out about Will Smith. If I knew Will Smith was a rapist 20 years ago, and then it's just re-released,
it's the same difference.
it's just the same thing. But however, if I was to find out now that Will Smith was a rapist, I knew nothing about this, looked at him as a role model, I would be in shock like everybody else. And that's the thing. I think for a certain generation, I understand the shock. For our generation, I'm talking about from like 30, 32 onwards, who were maybe around that time. No, I don't think so. You got to think about it. 94, we was like, you know what I'm saying? That's that second year of school. So yeah, I think I can understand the outrage from a certain generation who are younger, or a certain generation who are older, had no interest. I get that, and I think that's the reason why streams and stuff like that have gone up, because everyone has seen this and shocked and outraged, and now need to go and investigate as to see. I don't think that there's extra support.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, go on.
You're saying about shocking people going to see whether what they're listening to lyrics to see if it marries up. I'm guessing is what you're saying. Yeah, but he's still selling out clubs and shit when he's turning up. So is it that, or is it?
I heard that was a birthday or something.
Yeah, but I'm not being funny. Let's be honest. He's still R. Kelly. Yeah, so set at a club, it didn't sound like it was like the Vegas or O2 or something.
And plus, you get people who like to go against the grain, like to be like, oh, you know what? Fuck everybody said, I'm going to the club to see R. Kelly. There was enough women in there in that club apparently, and just, there are people who are like that.
His fan base is just that big that there are women that don't want to believe
exactly.
It. Yeah,
and the thing about it, he ain't selling out concerts. That's for certain.
Right, let me.
He's finished now as well.
Let me read out a couple more. Shout out to CC Brand. Right, she says, I might get cussed, but well, get ready. I have not watched the program, but my thing is everyone knew already. Simply. Obviously, not everything, but we knew. But at the same time, did you stop listening? No, you never. But now you have, because the media says so.
But
like,
so
hold on, D, let me finish, fam.
Go on.
Like, really?
Go on, man.
This is what she said. It says, like, really. Cool. I do not stand for nothing. He done at all. But my thing is also, how many more artists are and have been doing the same thing for years, and years. But my thing, it goes deeper than that. How much deeper? You need to come back to me on that. Let me read that.
I totally agree with you.
I'm 100% with you as well. Angela said, but why should we? And she was commenting on the back of what Barry said in regards to separate the music from the artist. So look at the lyrics for Brown Sugar, Rolling Stones, and don't stand so close to me, the police. Disgusting and wrong. I don't know the lyrics. That's something I'm gonna have to investigate. They might get an extra stream. I'm not supporting them, but someone said it, so I'm gonna investigate as well. Dia said yes, and that's my point. What did Anne say? Come back to that. Cece said, my thing is, why is everyone on the big now? I'm gonna say that's Hunt. Yeah. Right, Petula. Interesting. It's a conscious thing. We now know.
We now know.
Well, I think you've known. It's just, I think it's conscious and at the forefront of the mind. That's why. Let me finish your comment. I'll finish your comment. I think you're supporting you, bro. We have to relate what we entertain and how it relates to his now 20-year span of abusing young girls. Darren.
I like what you did. Now, on the road, yeah. We have to admit there's a lot more information that can now come to light. Yeah, I'm not disputing that people may have didn't know 20 years ago, but the information that has come to light now is a lot more detailed. So people are now saying raw. They can see to what extent the guy truly was a monster. Now you might say, oh, we knew he married Aaliyah and the pissing of the tape. Okay, cool. Yeah. What I'm simply saying to you now is there is now like multiple women that are coming forward to say this is what's happened. This has been going on for however many years. People are now looking at it and thinking, raw, okay, shit, we cannot no longer ignored. This is too much information to ignore. And I think that's why there is an uproar. You might look at
I
it
get
as,
that, and I do understand that. Let me just
yeah,
be clear.
you
I
might-
do, I get that.
You might look at it as being a bandwagon, but my question is, okay, cool.
Bandwagon ain't negative. Just
Own it. Exactly.
It's not negative.
But what's so then it's
But
irrelevant?
own it.
But
But
just
own
own it, Darren.
But
But
my
then
thing is,
what's the-
but my thing is, it then raises another point that we are puppets to media.
Bruv, come on.
But I'm
We
saying,
did that before
but
this
hear what I'm
place. Come on,
saying.
that
Hear what I'm
that goes without
Hear what
saying.
I'm saying, but in regards to this, we knew, yeah, and this is where we have to have the acceptance. We knew the man was a paedophile.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
cool. To what extent?
Okay.
How many? What do I have to fuck 10 underage girls for
Okay.
them to then be a problem?
Okay, cool.
But one we can overlook.
All right.
No.
Okay, cool. We knew. Yeah.
Right, that's
Now,
my only point.
this information
You
has
forgot
come
you
to
didn't
light.
know.
Okay, cool. I didn't. Whatever. Now we knew 20 years ago. This information is now more information is now come to light, which is causing people to react in that way.
Can I say
Listen,
something?
no, one second. Let me finish. Information comes out all the time by social media, by the bandwagon that you speak about, and people jump on it. This show is a bandwagon.
Right, can I say something?
This show.
You keep saying about this, so much information has come from the show. We've got a few minor extras from the show. The main
Minor
Let me
extras.
finish what I'm saying.
Minor
Listen,
extras.
Listen, let me
extras.
finish what I'm saying. Yeah?
And we
The
do.
main source
Minor extras.
of his claims here have been known. Do you know what I mean? We've just got a few manipulative behaviours and ex-women that have come forward. Yeah? The bulk of this, we already knew. The filthy bits, yeah, we already knew.
Yeah, I get that. Listen, I do 100%. I 100% agree with that. And let me just be clear: the bandwagon is positive. It's positive, so I'm not against it. However, to stop this happening again,
We have to acknowledge.
you have to acknowledge and recognise the reason as to why we need this to react. That is my issue, and I don't understand why no one can't see that. But let me read out a couple more comments. Right, Dion said, I agree with Darren. When he married Aaliyah, I was probably 11 or 12, so my understanding of paedophilia wasn't educated up to the same extent of me being an adult. Especially as when I was young girls my year were 13, lying
Yes,
about
mad, innit?
their age, saying they are 17 to 18 year olds, so that they can go out with 21 year olds. Unfortunately, I just think it's now just been revealed that those 21 year olds were unfortunate paedophiles. I say unfortunate.
Why is it unfortunate?
No, because no.
She just said that they lied about their age.
Those ones that were lying, but there was bare man
But
going
this is-
out.
I'm
There was bare
this is
man
what I'm
going out with
referring to.
girls in our
I
year.
won't pay
They
attention.
just said
Bare man
they were
going
saying
out
they
with girls in
lied.
our year,
filthy.
and that knew
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they was
those
coming
are-
to link them, they was coming to link
Those
them
are the
in
R.
school.
Kelly
Yeah,
types.
yeah,
Those are the R. Kelly types.
Right.
But I'm talking about this one. They said that it was they were being
Lied.
deceived and lied, saying that they were 17, 18. I
That's-
can't put
that's-
full blame on
You can't put
someone
any
for
of
that.
that. You can't put any.
You can.
No, Craig.
I'm not being funny.
How?
If
Due
you're not
diligence.
available
Due
between,
diligence.
if you're not available every day between 9 a.m. and 3:30,
Yeah.
nah, fam, nah.
You got to have a girlfriend and not know she's in school.
Nah, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. I don't even want to make light. Let me try and read out a couple more comments. Again, thank you everyone. If you haven't pressed click share already, please share this out. We want to open this up to as many people, and also share on the YouTube as well. Feel free to text in as many have, and I'm trying to read them out. Right, Donna has said, I think this issue highlights the lens through which young black women are viewed. So little value is placed on the lives of our young women. Parents, former employees, and industry personnel were complicit in this cover-up. 100%. That's something we didn't touch on. We as adults must be more vigilant in protecting our young men and women from sexual deviance within our community. I'm going to like that comment. That was good. I can't. It's nothing I can really say. Or I can't disagree with it. You're 100% right, and that's all I can really say on it. Right. Holly has said, what do we think is worse, the abuse and situation he put these girls through, or the fact they were underage? Would we still be as disgusted with the way he abused people if they were age? Can I answer this one
That's a good
first?
question. That's a good
Right,
question.
I'm going to answer this one first. The paedophilia in conjunction with abuse, 100%. Paedophilia period is worse as far as I'm concerned. You're taking advantage of a minor, someone whose mind is not matured and their life skills are not up to a certain level to be able to combat certain approaches. And yeah, so that manipulation is level 10. I think that's terrible and that's worse. I'm not trying to say that, oh, well, it was only abuse and it's only that. No, that's equally as worse, just on a different type of scale altogether. However, there was a woman, just relating it back to the show, a 34-year-old woman, and she put herself in the situation knowing all of the rumors, all of the allegations, seeing all the things, seeing what's going on, she decided to put herself in a situation because she was a fan.
Super fan.
She was a super
I
fan.
think you have to have a certain mindset to be that way. Though.
Right.
She could have been a super fan, but she could have also thought that was 20 years ago. Maybe he's a changed man. Maybe. I'm not.
That's a good point, and I'm not trying to say people can't change. Me personally, that. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, but
I'm all for rehabilitation, but
when you're a
paedophilia,
super fan,
just
when you're a super fan, you're holding on to any hope that this.
But don't you think being a super fan, you have to, your thought process.
But my thing is, whilst I feel sorry for what they've gone through. 100%, I feel absolutely
it's not
disgusted.
the same as paedophilia.
But it's not the same as paedophilia, and I still think this might go left. I'm sorry, guys. I still think that they need to take some accountability of the position that they knowingly put themselves into. The 34 Not the women are underage, but there was, I think there was two or three maybe who were late 20s, mid 30s. I'm sorry, you are educated enough. Well, I'm going to assume you're educated enough to know. However, I do recognise that
he targets them.
Yeah, they prey. And I think one of the things as well is that there was something about research that was done on the girls as well. There was one girl, her name was Lisa Ann. Lisa Ann, she actually appeared on the Jay Pinkett Red Table Show actually with my wife yesterday. It was actually quite good.
That's the one that was in the video.
Yeah. She's the one who stole. I think she stole the video and handed it to someone else. So my thing is that she was on there. She was explaining. She was talking about the research in which he done about her upbringing. She came from a care home. And I don't think that they publicised this within the show. She came from a care home. She's come through previous abuse and all of that. She felt pregnant for R. Kelly and all these things.
I don't think he researched on that. I'm pretty sure.
No, this is what she said. I don't know what we did.
I thought she said
she told him.
She spoke
to him,
and they related.
Right.
It wasn't that research
on this show.
Yeah, but we
she's
know
talking about research.
We know these kind of guys.
Maybe they
their whole system works.
Exactly.
They prey and it works on the people that are vulnerable, the women that are vulnerable.
But that's what he's done. Because like I said to Rich now, with the mentality to be a superman, for me you're not right. If you're gonna follow someone around in every goddamn state, everywhere, you got a problem in the first. So for me, you're an easy target, and that is why he's picked those type of women. Alright, let me read out a couple more. Right, where are we? I don't want to lose anyone as well because there's some good content as well. These people. Rena said it's calling a lot of his cam kept that on the DL for it. That's 100%. And I think that those people should get. They should get time in jail. They definitely deserve. They're facilitated. Get the same time. As far as I'm concerned, it's like it's just disgusting. And I don't want to go into that. Right. Delica has said, I agree, Darren, the information is more detailed now. Dazzler has said, basically, the documentary has served its purpose to get people on the bandwagon. And that's fine. I'm going to come back to that. Dazzler, hold on.
Please, can we kill the bandwagon now? Like, shit.
No. This is...
It's done.
I don't know why you use that
bandwagon. Everyone jumped on for good reason. Done.
Do you look at bandwagon as just being a negative?
I just said for good reason. Done.
Cool. Let me carry on. Craig, I get your question. Why has it taken a bandwagon for people to now stop listening? I think it's because, as has been said, the depth of detail covered in this documentary means we are now fully informed in a way we have been. Whilst I agree with that, I just feel that we had enough information.
And more mature minds, you know. When the information first came to us,
I say more mature. You say more mature minds, but I could still look at my dad and he knew. I swear down. Like, your point you made was perfect. We just overlooked it. That is, and that's it is what it is. But anyway, right. Tanya said there are at least 2 women who met him when they were in there. Sorry, you was having a conversation, see?
Yeah, I was.
You want to be familiar with it or yourself? Or?
Oh, you jumping on the bandwagon as well? Alright, come on, let's go.
Let me read this, man. It's getting heated. We need some more drink, man. Hey, drinks, people! Nah, we ain't got no head. Right. There are at least 2 women who met him when they were in their late 20s and 30s, and they too were survivors. So yes, we are still outraged. We are definitely trying to just touch on that as well. Sympathy levels might be lower, but still outraged. I'm with you on that one. Right. Delica has said, yeah, but remember, they're vulnerable, not the right mindset. Yes, what I said, yeah. And then Tanya said, this is a good combo. Were they though? They were career-driven, educated women. They say so themselves. Yes, but they have a certain mindset. Like I said, Tanya, to follow someone around from state to state, you ain't right. You can't say that. No, you're just being judgmental. I'm sorry, I just heard you say that one time. No, come on. Craig, to follow someone around, watching the same show over and over and over. Bro, you ain't
because you wouldn't do it doesn't
Not
mean
being
so you
funny.
can say they're not right.
Football fans do it.
Exactly.
That's a different game, bro.
But it's the same.
No. I'm not having it.
To me, that's not the same. To me,
Not the same.
watching your team play different teams week in, week out, in the hopes of getting a different result, is not the same as watching an artist do the same show you saw them do last week.
Not the same. I'm saying, I get that. How far fetched are they though?
Yeah.
How far are they?
It's not that
One
different.
second, how far are they?
Hugely.
I'm sorry, it's comfortable enough for not. I wouldn't continue.
You're chatting shit.
The fact of the matter is,
Superman
you can't-
can't be
for
right.
me, you can't say that they're not right because they want to go and see
I think
it.
that's I think that's
wrong.
poor. That's poor.
So wait a minute, your son wants to watch the same rapper, yeah? You watched him last week. He spent £50 to go and see him. Now he wants to go into another country, spend £200 to go and see him.
Yes,
and he just keeps
But
doing
hear
it.
what I'm saying?
Are
I
you
think
gonna
he's the
not
same.
question
I
his
think
mentality?
I think he's the same guy who watches their team lose every single week and pay to get on flights and to do all of their stuff. I think they're the same level.
Yeah.
So there you
I
go.
agree, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
I agree.
if they're not, and if they're not the same, well, they are not far away from each other.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Your team loses every week.
To
You
be
pay
fair,
£200 to get on
every week, pay a week in, week out to watch your team lose.
You're hoping for a different result, right? I can understand
Right,
that at least.
they are hoping to be acknowledged. Come on, it's the same type of thing.
I said they're not right,
Right.
you know. They're not
So
right.
I think you're wrong to say that they're not right.
You can call me wrong, but I'm
Like, come on, man.
I'm
Like, come on.
I'm with doing that for
Right,
a little
hear what
while.
I'm saying. Let me read out a couple more. Dia said, I'll be honest, adults and children are totally different ball game. Pissing on a 14-year-old compared to beating up his wife for me are both terrible, but the child rape is just beyond comprehension.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm with
I
you.
don't think anyone can disagree.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Cassis said, I think the news about his cult was why the interest peaked, which is unfortunate and shameful where the child abuse allegation is concerned. Right, Holly has said, I completely agree, so I can't understand why he was allowed to continue doing this to them. It's literally beyond me. Chloe, shout out to Chloe, she said, I don't think that it's so much a bandwagon thing. The way life and society is now, we are standing up, waking up to what is wrong. I've always known that R. Kelly was a horny bastard. That shouldn't have been funny. I don't know. That shouldn't have been funny.
It's the word. It's the word. It's the word.
Immature as well.
Yeah,
You've got to be real.
I'll take that.
I never ever saw the video 20 years ago, but I heard about it. And oh jeez, I didn't realise how long this comment was. I wouldn't have started. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna try and just break it down for you quickly.
Yeah.
I think in a situation like this, to each his own when it comes to listening to his music. I personally have not listened to his music since, but I'm not gonna say that it will never happen. I won't buy his music, but if his songs can't come up on my playlist, it is. I will never listen to another sexual song of his again. I now know it is in reference to young girls. That's interesting. So, but she said, however, songs like I Believe I Can Fly, The World's Greatest, You Saved Me, etc., have uplifted me on many occasions. I must admit that I'll never listen to them with the same passion because knowing what I know now makes them fake. I wouldn't say makes them fake. I think it just takes the shine off of them because you know the person who put the words together. But the words I can relate to and I can enjoy the music. I don't go out of my way to play them, but if they comment, I will probably still sing along. I ain't singing along. I'll be real. I'm not singing along. It's just that if I'm in a situation where, you know what I'm saying, it's not. I just think like if I'm in a club or something, it comes on, you're vibing and everything. To sit down at that point, I don't know. It just shows a bit of immaturity. I might not vibe the same way I did to Ignition before. It's just, I don't know.
I wouldn't
it's
say
just a bit much.
maturity. It's the person's preference.
Yeah, alright, fair play. You know, immaturity is the wrong word. I was just talking about it. Alright, I'll play. Let me read out a couple more and then we can get back to it. Delicate said, my sympathy levels are the same for both of them. I'm sure they were both abused as well. That's what they said and they had in common. Alright. Aisha said, just because women are driven and educated does not mean they are not triggered and revert to vulnerable states when assaulted. That is what groupies do, follow people around. D, you are wrong. If people like you, they will follow you. Sorry, off topic, Pam, but your hair is nice. That's from Rudy.
Thank you.
Triggered by what? Tanya said. The lady who wasn't abused. Dwayne, please let someone finish a sentence. Yes. Aisha said, I stated when assaulted, not who wasn't abused. All right, I'm going to let you guys continue that conversation. Spicy. All right. Right, couple more, and we're going to move on because there is a couple of bits that I do want to address before we kind of wrap up as well. I'm trying to get back to my topics. Right, so basically, does this play out? I think right, so I wanted to ask a question as well, going all the way back. Watching the show, and even after the show, I wasn't aware that R. Kelly was abused. I might have seen it in episode 5, between I was watching 5 and 6. I then saw like a YouTube clip that was posted in our group about his brother talking about what their older sister made them do to them.
I haven't seen that.
Right? It was horrible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It made them basically have sex and lose their virginity at 6 or 7. Like, I've got to give the information out. I'm not trying to be vulgar or nothing.
So,
It is what it is.
so there's he's got one older
He's got
brother.
one older brother.
The sister is older than that.
Older
brother.
than, yeah. And I think that was the same brother who he made, I think he paid off to say that it was him in the video. Someone in the stream will correct me if I'm wrong. But the sister, that I just thought that was sick. Does that change our thinking on R. Kelly for what he's done in any way?
Sick.
Well, dude, thank you for that information.
He's sick,
we
man.
knew that before the question. I'm saying, does it alter your thinking about him, knowing that he was abused as well,
Obviously,
knowing that he's a victim as well?
obviously,
Does it
it's-
change
it
anything?
plays-
He's sick, yeah, but you have to have some kind of sympathy for him in that if he didn't go on to if he got abused when he was younger and he didn't go on to do all these things, you would have sympathy for him.
Yes.
So the fact that he's gone on to do these things because he was possibly because he was abused, you then can't separate that sympathy that you would have for him because he's now reacted to the abuse that he's had when he was younger. You have to have a level of sympathy for the fact that he was abused and probably ignored, and just like the same way that some of these girls could have been. And all it is that the outcome of that is different.
Spot on. I don't have any sympathy for him, simply because if you're doing this for decades, then you're not trying to get help. You're not trying to better yourself. You're not trying to, like, if it was one occasion, maybe 2 occasions, and then you try to get help and try to better yourself, then yeah, cool. But like the fact that you're doing this and you're according to reports, you're still doing this like over the course of 20 years.
When people have mental health issues, how often do they say they've got a mental health issue? It's something that someone else has got to recognise in you and get you the help.
Yeah,
From an early age, they knew that he had problems, and at an early age, you need someone to help you.
Yeah.
And he didn't get that help. So all that happened was he got worse.
Okay, cool. Let's look at it, yeah? Let's look at what's happened. Like you said, the whole Aaliyah thing, the whole pissing thing. Reports have come out. He's been taken to court. All of this, it's not like, he's just been getting away with it and nobody knew about it or nothing like that, like you said, yeah? So it come to light. It's come to light. Surely, in that time, people would have said to you, all right, you know what, try and get some help. Like, in the documentary, he even said to Aaliyah's uncle, or whoever it was,
That he needs help. He don't know if he can stop.
I've got a problem.
Yeah.
I've got a problem. You know what I mean?
Says the help then come.
Seek help.
Says the help doesn't come after of knowledge that. Surely.
I just, for me, I personally can't have any sympathy for him, simply because he's done it over such a long period of time.
I have sympathy for the situation that he was put in. I don't have sympathy for
Yeah, the sympathy. Yeah.
What he's done.
Sympathy for him.
It's hard to sympathise with someone that has done all of this, but you have to sympathise
with him as a child. Not as a
he went
man.
through that.
Yeah, but there seems to be no sympathy, generally. I think that, like you said, we're all now privy to certain bits of information. And are we at a point where he's beyond help? Do you understand what I mean? Or doesn't deserve the help because of what he's done? We now know the reason, but I can't say it's necessarily the reason. But I've seen videos of this man saying that he's marry his mum.
Yeah.
I think that's
problem.
He needs to be punished, but during that punishment, he should get
right.
help.
But there's a mental issue there. And I haven't seen anyone crying out someone needs to really get up.
Right, but the reason for that is the way that the documentary was set. It made obviously he's a vile piece of work, yeah. But it didn't really touch on problems that he had. It basically sinister music when he trained. Do you know what I mean?
It's like that. That documentary knew about this stuff.
You're giving people enough credit to, like, people can think for themselves. I don't think necessarily just because they've seen that documentary, people are not going to think to themselves. Like, that information was provided in a documentary that he was also an abused. So people.
You're saying people can think for themselves, but that has changed everyone's way of thinking. Let's be real. So they're not necessarily thinking for themselves, not being dictated how to
because of the information because of the information that's provided in regards to the
right. The way it's presented is making people think a certain way.
The
documentary said R. Kelly is really sick. Then you would look at it.
I'm not disputing that. I'm saying people are not going to say, I'm not going to think about the abuse he suffered just because of that documentary. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I agree with you.
I don't think that just because of it, but the way it was set up was made you think that way. Do you know what I mean? And most people are in that.
Alright, let me read out a couple more comments because it kind of takes into a direction I wanted to go in as well. Maureen has said, I think in this situation, accountability is with parents. These aspiring young girls were of age but are allowed to go on tour with him without chaperone. I think there was some with chaperone, but they were paid people, so that's always worrying to me. If I'm correct, the youngest was 15 years old. I wouldn't say she was foolish. The parent trusted him and they saw money and yeah, we definitely touched on that. Chloe said, when I say fake, I mean fake because, oh, you said before, sorry, but
I believe I can fly.
Okay, yeah, when I say fake, I mean fake because it's coming from a certain person and I'd sing because it is what I do with any song that I like, especially when I am holding a certain vibe. I can understand that. Bianca said, I think it's an aspect of it is we as black people have a need to defend black men because we all know the hardship. I tell you what, I just want to clap already because this is part of the fucking reason. I think an aspect of it is we as black people have a need to defend black men because we know of the hardships and false accusations that have happened. R. Kelly knew this and abused that. Also, black girls aren't portrayed as just girls. Black girls are highly sexualized, and I think I've got to like that. That's a fantastic because I really think that's an issue. Unfortunately, and I think who's it that I watch is always saying it. Main on Breakfast Club. He's always stressing that black women are the most the most looked down, looked at people in the whole of society. You know what I'm saying? And I get that, and I think this 100% plays a part.
Even that sexualized point is very good.
100%. Yeah, I'm going to that's a different direction.
Yeah, I know.
That's a whole new show.
Yeah, we're not going to do that, right? Because we're going to wrap up soon, right? Dion has said, question: Harvey Weinstein was in a similar boat. Are people boycotting all the films he was involved in?
Nope. You know why?
Hasn't been said. We ain't been told to yet.
I'm
not being funny.
You can't argue with that.
I wasn't arguing with you. I laughed. What the fuck, man?
Don't laugh.
I laughed.
Cool.
Sorry, brilliant. My language.
Dion, thank you very much for that. Yeah, definitely like that point. Oh, I took my like away. Definitely putting that. Right, Maureen. The parents were not. This in money. I don't know what it says. They saw opportunity, fame, and money. Foolish and very stupid. And I want to add to that. I can't remember the word, but it's unacceptable, man. Negligent. That's the word. Negligent. Right. Dee said, I never even knew who Harvey Weinstein was until he was in the news. So I'd have to research what films he's involved in, and I could be wrong, but I don't think he abused teenage girls and children. That's what it is for me. Yeah. The children element.
That's a very good point.
No, but still,
wrong is wrong. Are we saying that?
Are we saying manipulation and abuse of women is
mental abuse is
no, but we
abuse
just
is
said
okay.
before that paedophilia is worse. That's
Mental
what
abuse
we
is
all
okay.
agreed to that
Physical
earlier.
abuse, but what way abuse is okay, but that's not worth boycotting the film.
Right, that's what I was about to get.
Because paedophilia is involved.
We don't boycott that.
No.
I think that's
I don't think she was saying that. I just think she said that paedophilia is worse. That's why it's been highlighted more.
Maybe something's
That's
been
why I
lost
think
in
that's what I think she
translation.
said. Maybe. I think she's saying personally. That's how I understood.
Let me just read it again to make sure. I never even knew who Harvey Weinstein was until he was in the news, so I'd have to research what films he's involved in, and I could be wrong, but I don't think he abused teenage girls and children. That's what it is for me, the children's element.
She's saying what we said.
Yeah. So, D, I'm just going to say politely, I disagree. My thing is, I'm not with this whole, you know what, I think we was watching that thing, keep the same energy for this one. Listen, I personally that there are levels. However, out and out wrong is out and out wrong. And whereas for me, I'm not going to say, well, child abuse, yes, we got a boycott for that, but you hit women, oh no, we listen to those ones. Oh, you mentally abuse women too. Oh, we still listen. No, I'm just trying to say a wrong one is a wrong one, and we should be the same sort of thing that we should be doing. Onto the Harvey Weinstein thing. As a black community, I don't think we relate and have that same relationship.
And also Harvey Weinstein isn't an artist, so it's hard to boycott because apparently
you don't know what he's about.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we can look into that.
It's very easy. Yeah.
Of course, but I'm saying it's just more easy for
But
us
this is
to
my
say,
thing. If it meant enough to us, we would. And I don't think it's worth the Harvey Weinstein.
Because it's not relatable.
Point accepted.
Let's go down. Shalika said, yes, there are no sympathy for the dirty Jan. Oh, he knows right from wrong. He's a big man. Right, Chantel said, I think the wife on the show invalidated the other women's claims
Because
as
of her-
we've all seen her singing along to his music a year prior. Also, how these girls don't obey their parents but are obeying R. Kelly. I don't hear of him running these girls down when they've left the house. So how controlled are they? Very controlled. I think that's the thing. If you gotta think about it. If you can have that option with that door open, you can say run through, and you eventually
But I
then
think
come
they
back.
get in a-
There was one woman who went away, had a baby, and came back.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
Because he's
She had a
running.
baby.
You don't understand. I think what she's saying. I believe they've been manipulated. Just not getting twisted. But you can see the other argument. Yeah, because at the same time they've been given a lifestyle. Yeah, and he's providing them. So of course you can go away and come back.
Yeah,
because you're given a lifestyle.
it's a good point
That's part of
because
manipulation.
I think one of the points that Lisa Ann making, who's the same girl that I'm talking about, who went away, had a baby, and came back, had a baby and came back. Basically, what was I gonna say? Yeah, she was. Oh, I lost my chain of thought. Just do it because the charges went low and it just messed me right up. But I'll come back to it. Sorry, you man, carry on.
Yeah, no, I just, I don't know, man. I just think, for me, a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon, as you guys said, because this information is just coming out, new information that comes to light, and
Can I say something?
Yeah, she was also saying this. Come back to me, bro. Come back to me very quickly. Just come back, yeah. But then she was also saying about they were threatened. They were threatened, and they were also. It was a thing where she was in legal problem. For example, he made those things go away.
Who was threatened?
The girls about their families threatened.
All
If
right.
you leave, X,
Yeah,
Y, Z
yeah.
will happen to you.
bro, didn't you hear
And
what
it
they
was
said? They
something
said
like-
in Chicago, he had the team set up, like
Yeah.
police underpay, like solicitors and everything set up. So
I'm saying,
the manipulation
should be
is
higher, but there are
widespread.
there are many other people that
You've got to pay the price.
Oh
for
yeah,
it.
definitely,
Many of
definitely.
Right, I'm going to read out a few more comments and we're going to wrap up. There's a lot of people involved and we really appreciate it. Make sure you have clicked on share.
and Fox Spark.
I wouldn't have said that. I would have just said that.
No, man.
I wouldn't. This is the last
I
point I
didn't
do
want
want
to
to
be it's you, but
Right.
I've got
Why just
Let me-
quickly?
yeah,
No,
go on.
but she-
In fact, let's just jump on
but she was wrong on so many levels. Listen, yeah, when she brought her niece there, wrong. Just from
I agree.
wrong straight from that. When she brought her niece through, she was still trying to do things. She was still trying to make it. Now, if she wasn't in that position, she wouldn't have left her niece there. But she thought about herself. When she said, when they told her that R. Kelly's got your niece there, and she thought, oh, what? That's a bit funny. But then she said, oh, actually, you know what? Don't worry about it, because you was thinking about yourself. So don't then come onto the documentary looking all like innocent and shit. Wanna cry,
What she said.
like you wasn't to blame for that situation.
No, she did show that she feels guilty. However,
Just show your guilt at the time. But you should have taken your niece out of that situation straight.
she's wrong. She's wrong.
And
She acknowledged that.
acknowledged
And
that.
the thing about it is, yeah, she jumped on the sword because her career got fucked up because of this. Because she went
across, and her family want to get as well. You have to give credit for these things.
You're saying her career, she left R. Kelly because of career differences, and then her album flopped. I don't understand why.
But she
No, but
was
she's
going
gone
against R. Kelly,
gone against- yeah.
and so what happened is apparently she was
This is what it said,
blackballed.
isn't it?
She was blackballed.
Yeah. This is what it said, and she apparently her and her family don't even get on as well.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you. Let me just get onto the last thing as well that we kind of want to discuss. I don't even want it to, but I've got to go to sleep and stuff.
I'm
But,
hungry, eh?
huh?
I'm hungry.
Well, you come to my house, last piece of bread as well. I don't know that. But yeah, I think the thing that didn't sit right with me, and I think that they let themselves down with at the end of the show, they started to tell me about all of these women who got book deals and all of this Sparkle's releasing a new album, and it just made it look like we've just.
But surely you
did
didn't see that from the beginning.
It did tarnish it.
But it definitely tarnished.
Did you not see that from the
There
beginning?
was about 3 or 4 book deals or something like that.
Well, you must have seen that from the beginning. You must have seen where it was gearing up to.
To be fair,
No, I was hoping it wasn't. I was hoping it was
a lot of them do have like organisations for to help women and whatever, and so, some good has come out of it, and they were promoting some of that, but and books can help young women in the same situation.
There was one who said it was a non-profit thing. I think her name was Leandra or whatever the name was. But it was like she was doing something which was non-profit to help women. I can respect that.
Yeah.
But it's almost like this is capitalizing. And all I've seen on YouTube and things like that are these women now appearing on shows. Names are put out there and they are becoming famous from this. And I don't know whether that is a conscious thing or if it's just a byproduct of being in a show like this and being so old. I don't know. And you don't know where someone's integrity is, but it just doesn't look good. You know what I'm saying? From my point of view, anyway.
Give it another year, they're going to love and hip hop.
Yep, I agree.
See, that's so. Oh my God! See, for me, yeah, I don't view it that way.
Lizette Martinez, thank you.
I don't view it that way. I think I'm not surprised that they've got book deals and whatever and rah. And so what? For me, the way I say it, so what? Does that take away from what's happened? No, it doesn't. Are these women not supposed to try and get deals or try and set up their life?
No, but it takes away. Look,
The motive of the show.
It kind of
You know what I'm
shows.
saying? And this is my thing.
It doesn't-
What is
it doesn't-
I'm saying?
The motive for me isn't question.
There is some positive out of that, but I'm just saying it does tarnish the show.
Oh, yeah, listen,
We know media in general put out stuff that is designed to either make money, to create a following. Every media outlet that is out there, that's the intention. So why is this going to be looked at any differently? They're telling their story. They can get money from it.
All right, so you're in that situation, yeah? Are you looking to go that route? Are you looking to make a show about your daughter going missing, or are you actively trying to sort that out?
If my daughter is missing and I can be on a show that's going to help raise awareness about this guy, this monster, whatever, or try and get my daughter back, I'm being on that show.
Right, guys, you heard it here first. No, I'm joking. Like, no, but I've got to say, it's. Do we believe everything that was on the show? That's one of the things I should have maybe answered.
That's a good.
Do we believe everything that was on
I
the show?
think things were embellished a little bit.
You think so? What?
Some things didn't add up to me. Like, I think I heard one girl say they were locked in rooms. Then I heard one girl say she was walking around from room to room checking, and then she saw 6 buckets in the room. It didn't really marry up. The stories weren't all clicking.
What would have made you? Is that just simply because of what they said, or simply because, or is it more to do with kind of you think these women are out?
No, it just didn't marry up there. The stories didn't add up.
Okay, cool, fair enough.
Let me read out a couple more comments.
I believe most of it.
Yeah, I believe there's things happen, but I think they just embellished the stories a little bit.
Right, Chantel has said it's money motivated. Not saying he ain't wrong, but why are you promoting at the end of the show? It's embarrassing.
Agreed.
I'm totally with that. I know, yeah. Shalika says Spark was a big fool. She knew about she knew about all the other girls and thought R. Kelly wasn't gonna trouble her niece.
Yeah.
And I think she
Because
was
it
there
was
from
hers.
day dot as well.
She was looking more money. She is just as bad as those parents that let their girls go to concerts, meeting, and studio bookings with this money. 100%. I'm with you as that. Yeah, I think she now knows. Chantel said, "No, I disagree. You could be making the situation worse for the victim." I don't know if that's a relationship. CC has said, and this is a good point. Can I say this though? After all this hype, and I think you said he's been charged. What's gonna happen to him? What's gonna happen? Nothing. And that's my point. It's almost like if the motive behind making this show is, you know what, if we put this out there, bang, 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 yeah, fair enough, we might get a book deal, but we're gonna lock him away. It's gonna go down.
Then I'm all for it.
I'm with that. I'm totally behind it. I'm not saying I'm not behind this because, you know, bringing awareness, I can understand that. But to me, that's a real strong, authentic motive. But when it is just looked at as, well, we're just going to be putting more information out there, and you know what, the biggest thing that comes out of it is the fact that we get a book deal and all the rest of it. It's just, don't sit with me.
If the girl came forward and family came forward, can you be charged again?
Or can you be
I
charged?
think it's something called double jeopardy. Yeah.
Jeopardy.
So I don't know. I don't think so.
I think you can.
Other people have.
Oh, then again,
But they have different ages and different states as well. And all of that
Other
stuff.
people
Shout out to Holly as well because she passed me on this information about the different ages.
I think
So you could add in a different
I think they might be able to get him because they done porn was it?
Yeah, it wasn't child molestation.
It wasn't child molestation. So if they went for another charge, you can get that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's mad. It's mad that this is still happening. Listen, we're gonna wrap up. I've really enjoyed speaking about this show. And again, I want to stress that any woman who has been abused,
Anybody
going through anybody, you know, you're 100%
Male,
right.
female,
Male, female, child, anyone who's watching this, we are going to be putting up some information in regards to people that you can contact and that can provide help. We don't pretend to have the answers for absolutely everything. We want to bring awareness and discuss issues, especially and even more so where we're going wrong, so we can fix things. One of the main things for me that's kind of come out of this conversation is that abuse and molestation comes from people that you know. I haven't even got the answer as to how you can stop that. Just be aware, be as open as possible. This is my final thoughts, I'm not going to come back. Be as open as possible with your children so that they can communicate with you. I want to know if your uncle even looks at you wrong, or you're my friend, or anybody that around. But you've got to be able to create that comfort and dialogue with your kids. And as men and as fathers, are 100% pushing that forward. You want to?
I can only echo what Craig has said. Be very vigilant. Speak to your children. Make your children understand that it's inappropriate to be touched. If a child doesn't know that, then it's easy for a predator to say, look, this is our little secret. And so forth. But if a child knows from the get-go, it gives them a bit more of an opportunity to come forward. And if it's happened to you, don't feel ashamed. At the end of the day, come forward and make sure that person pays for what they've done to you.
Yeah, I echo exactly what the two guys have said. What I also would say is in regards to our young boys, especially dads, we kind of boost up our boys to say, yeah, go and do this for the girl, go and do this and go and over-sexualize our boys. And we treat our girls differently, our daughters differently to how we do our boys in regards to these kind of situations. And I think R. Kelly was once a boy, you get me? So anybody who has a child, just ensure that you're treating your boy and you're raising your boy child in the right way to ensure that they don't think it's all right to treat women a certain way. Yeah, we're very quick to clamp down on our daughters and say, no, my daughter can't see this guy and you can't do this, and let's do the same for our boys. All right, that's it.
Yes, just going on what all the rest of the guys have said. Something that we touched on earlier about, you know, what you go through as a childhood and the impact it can have on you and later in life. We have to take into consideration ignoring children, ignoring people when they say they're having troubles with something, and then they go on to that lack of action that you give to them can have a reaction to something they do later in life. We have to be considerate of ignoring these things and the impact that could have on that person and other people later in life. In that just that you can by ignoring a victim at an early stage, you can create later victims later in life. And yeah, you just have to be mindful of people speaking out and the help that you give them.
Well, I think someone on there, Petula, has said that we should have had an expert on sexual abuse on the show. Unfortunately, we can't have it all. But the one thing I would say is that the fact that there's no sexual expert here doesn't make anyone any less qualified to raise this type of matter and talk about it. We've all here got children, we've all been children, we've all families, and we are all part of a community that has an issue. So if this is the match that lights something up for this to expand and create further conversation, then fantastic. Job done. We're going to provide information, like we said as well, for experts on the matter. And I think I already said we don't claim to have all the answers, but many heads in the same way of thinking can create change, and I think that's what we're aiming to try and do as well. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, please make sure you leave a thumbs up, the heart, all that stuff, and share it along to others. YouTube as well. If you lot can all leave the thumbs up as well, it really does mean a lot. It helps us grow the channel and grow us as a collective as well. And you know what? If there are any sort of suggestions, this actually came as much as we were all intrigued by it. We weren't necessarily just going to do it. We didn't want people to think we were just doing it because of jumping on the bandwagon. However, sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture, and it's more than that. But this was a request from someone as well, and we've had many people writing questions in. I didn't even get to read out all the questions. I do apologise. I'll try and put them out there. But yeah, keep showing support, keep showing love, man, and we will be back soon.
If you've got more questions, then continue to leave comments.
Definitely, 100%. We'll always respond. Anyway, listen, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Enjoy your Sundays. Blessed week. Out.
Yes.
It's that moment that I can't stop.
It's probably stopped already, to be fair.
Saying that, man.
No, that's not.
Hey guys.
Scanning.
It's still live.
She wants to stop streaming.
What does it mean?
Is you supposed to like stop this a certain way?
You done it last time and you can lock it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, install time ago.
See,
Alright.
We have quite a few.
YouTube has stopped. I think they're still live.
That's behind you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
But I'm not taking no chances.
Oh, you lose it, innit? Oh, that was a problem the last time.
Yeah. And I don't want to lose.
I
Although
don't,
it's on YouTube.
Yeah, both sides here, innit?
I don't want to lose this. Yes, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I didn't want
Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yeah.
Yeah, when you do YouTube, is it usually do you want to stop streaming?